All right. Good evening. Welcome back to the Sooner Surge, and it's the day after spring game. Had some news that we want to talk about, just about recruiting tonight on this video. So the big news came while we were at the spring game, Jackson. Right before the spring game started,
Darren
we
Moore.
got we got news that Jaydan Hardy committed to Oklahoma. So Jackson, just kind of tell our viewers about Jaydan Hardy.
Well, Jayden Hardy, I'll tell you, he's a guy. He's a little bit undersized. I believe, he's only 5'11", 170. So he kind of is around the Peyton Bowen build, I would say. He really is just such a physical player. He comes on, he's not afraid to hit. That's the one thing that I think that immediately attracted Brett Venables and Brandon Hall to him was it's kind of like Josiah Wagner. I mean, the dude's just physical, plays way above his size. He's a really great prospect. I think he's underrated. I think he should be rated in the top 100 on all sites. He's not. We saw in the overtime seven tournament, the Big 7-on-7 tournament they had 2 weekends ago, I believe, 2 or 3 weekends ago. The dude absolutely balled out. I think got 2 picks in that. So you just talk about a dude that's a great player. His recruitment was down. It sounded like to OU and Oregon. It really, from things I heard, kind of Oregon was pushing them hard, and obviously Oregon we've seen they've been able to recruit at a high level partially because they're NIL. It really and NIL has been such a strength for programs. We even saw it today with Bear Alexander going to USC. But Jayden Hardy, just a great pickup. This was his first time ever to be on campus, which is crazy to think too. I think Jason, I think I talked about it a couple of videos ago that we did where Jayden Hardy was supposed to come up for the junior day in March,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't able to make it up due to some family stuff. So it was kind of nice to see the kid that can get up and you see what happens. I had even said it. I thought the OU always led just with how he talked about him. And sounds like they did. He's not afraid to end his recruiting process. So I think that says a lot about Brandon Hall and
True cornerback, true
no,
safety. What do you
he's a true safety.
You think he'll stay at safety? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, hard hitting, running downhill. That's what Venables wants. So physical guy. So
And the real question is that leads us to our next question. Who's next? Jason, if you had to make one prediction just off things maybe you've heard, maybe what we were talking about during the spring game yesterday, who do you think will be the next commit?
well, they're at 4 right now. Correct. 4 commits now for the 24 class. I would say number 5. I've seen a lot of crystal balls out there, and just from things I think Kearney's next. Um, I would think he's next. I would say either him or Wesco, one of the receivers, but I'm going to say Kearney.
Yeah, I agree. I think Zion Kearney's next. And actually OU didn't get involved with him until a month after really Emmett Jones got hired because I remember talking about this on a pod after Emmett Jones got hired. I want to say like a couple weeks after OU didn't make, I want to say, an official 2024 offer to like late January, early February. So they were really evaluating hard, and really it sounded like the 4 guys they were down to were KJ Daniels, Isaiah McMorris, Zion Kearney, and Bryant Westco. And KJ Daniels, him and Isaiah McMorris were battling out for the third spot. And Daniels committed, so it sounds like McMorris really isn't going to be in play much more. So you look at it, it's Kurt and Westco, their 2 targets. Both are predicted to be OU leans in the way they talk about them. I think they both are. I agree. I think Kearney will most likely be the next commit, but I would potentially watch for maybe a surprise under the radar commit. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I really wouldn't be shocked if we see Michael Patterson McDonald commit. You know, he's best friends with David Stone. The kids went up to Michigan State, but it's only because David Stone. It's kind of like a Xavier Robinson. In-state kid, when we got offered by OU would be the leader. And I actually do think Michael Patterson McDonald will commit sometime this week. That's just from I haven't seen anything on this. Just on my personal opinion. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, another guy, like you said, Xavier Robinson. I would look for him to commit. I mean, I think he's going to be an OU guy, so I think he might commit pretty soon. I'll tell you the thing that really just, just on Twitter this weekend after the spring game and stuff, the picture Nigel Smith put, you had Nigel Smith, David Stone, and can't pronounce the other one.
Joseph Jonah Ajonye.
Yeah, yeah, all of them in the picture with Todd Bates, and obviously Williams Nwaneri was not there. He was in Colorado, but just the amount of talent on those in that picture is insane. And we all know Gerald McCoy is pushing so hard for Stone. I mean, we saw it again this weekend on Twitter. Just man, that picture, man. If you could get at least two of those guys, all three, I mean, golly, man, this class could be massive.
Oh my gosh. Well, also, I think that OU leads for all three of those guys right now. Now, obviously, the other name to watch is Dominic McKinley. Just like I said, he's a guy I wouldn't be shocked if OU's a sneaky player there. Todd Bates actually was the guy that told him that he would end up being a 5-star prospect off watching this film, I think, his sophomore year of high school. So, I mean, you just talk about it. I would watch for Dominic McKinley, but man, just imagine if OU is able to land Williams Nwaneri, Joseph Jonah Ajonye, Nigel Smith, Xavier Sims, and David Stone. Now
No, they're not getting all of them.
That's like
They're
I
not
know
getting
that's
all of
just, but I know that may be sunshine pumping, but if that happens, you're talking about the best defensive line class in the country, top to bottom.
Well,
You're
yeah,
talking
you got all those guys.
debatably the best defensive line class in OU history from top to bottom as well.
I mean, with that amount of guys, probably so as far as overall. You know, I mean, David Stone himself would be the highest defensive line recruit since probably McCoy. I mean, when you say,
yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think somebody after McCoy that was that highly rated.
What was Tommy Harris?
Well, Tommy Harris was highly rated, but I believe Tommy Harris was before McCoy.
Okay.
I may be wrong. Look up the years. I thought Tommy. Look up the years on that because 2010, I believe, is when Gerald McCoy got drafted in the NFL. And I'm trying to remember when Tommy Harris was. I thought Tommy Harris was before that, but I may be wrong. What's that?
Harris. Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean,
he was 2001 to 2003.
Yeah, I thought he was the earlier years of Bob Stoops. So
yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk about it. The potential to just add like such a dynamic defensive line class, and you just talk about all the different kind of play styles there is, whether that's Williams Nwaneri and really Joseph Jonah Ajonye and Williams Nwaneri aren't true edge guys, but they will play edge. They're kind of like 250, 260, 240 range, and they're really larger edges, but just dudes that are just so naturally talented. And the whole game as a whole, and you just talk about really versatility. So we talk about it. A player that can do many things right is a guy that OU has been quietly leading for a while now, and Michael Boganowski. I don't know if we actually talked about him yet, but he's been out of Junction City, Kansas, safety linebacker hybrid, super talented player, 3-star. He'll go up in the rankings by a lot. I mean, I think the kid wound up a 4-star, probably in top 300 for sure, maybe top 200 potentially by the end of cycle. You talk about it. The kid's dad played at New Mexico, so he obviously has football in his blood. We saw it. Some more crystal balls from the OU this weekend. I believe I'll go back and find it the exact date, but I believe he's had a crystal ball from Parker Thune to OU for a while, and he's a kid that it's really down to OU and K-State for him. He's a guy that's gonna play cheetah. When you talk about a player that's a safety linebacker hybrid in high school, that has cheetah written all over him for Brent Venables. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, so this class right now with 4 commits is ranked, did I see 27th maybe?
27.
Right now. So, they got 4 recruits, good start to the year, into the class. And so we should see some guys in the near future commit. So
actually, I was wrong. There is no 24/7 crystal balls entered for Michael Boganowski. So I was actually wrong on that. But just like I've said, the kid, man, it's OU K-State. I know that Washington, Duke, and Michigan may be in the mix. I think he'll probably commit to OU within the next month or two. And really, this class has a chance to get rolling. I'm honestly shocked when only I've seen one commitment. Truly,
What do you mean one commitment? You mean since spring game?
since the spring game, man. I mean,
Yeah, but you know how that is. I mean, that was just yesterday. So give it this week.
you don't even know how many silents there were, too. There could have been 4 or
Well,
5
that's
silents.
true. I mean, yeah, we don't know any of that. So
But also, a silent commit can change. We saw it change with David Hicks, but that's another topic.
and the guy from Vassick, Colton Vassick, as well last year.
Yeah, Colton Vosek, that was kind of you knew he's somehow going to end up back at Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, you give all praise to Miguel Chavis for even being able to land that kid for a month and a half while they had him committed. Considering he was Texas legacy group rooting for Texas, and well, it's kind of interesting because there's still no running back commits for you. You would have think that someone would have hopped in the boat by now because a month ago the talk was, man, it's really getting thin now that James Peoples is gone. We've seen that Taylor Tatum, 4-star running back, announced he's going to take an OV to OU. He's been a guy that OU's been maintaining steady contact with. Obviously, we saw that Caden Durham was there at the spring game. We actually saw him. It was just really, it's kind of interesting to see where this running back room is going to go because outside of Xavier Robinson, it sounds like Tawani Mizell's in OU, but it's been all silent for him. I haven't heard anything. Is Taylor Tatum the guy? Does potentially Jarrett Gibson get an offer soon? And does he potentially have a chance to be future center? You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I think that about covers it for tonight, man. Hey, once again, guys, thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Leave comments in here for us. Love to interact with you. And then once again, man, appreciate you watching. Boomer.
Boomer.